What a terrible. I didn't know where I was going with this.
Hey,
it's crazy.
And welcome to Mike
Minimum. That was a power finger touch.
I know.
Right
We gotta
there.
go big or go home.
There we go, big or go home.
This is a special recording of TMM.
Special recording, not for the reasons we intended.
It's special, like that kid in kindergarten.
We're here at the wonderful Lucy's Laugh Lounge in
home away from home.
Pleasantville, New York. Murder-free since 12 hours ago.
Go Tigers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so one of our performers for the show tonight, Samantha,
was murdered last night. No,
her girlfriend was scared of her being murdered because this is upstate and scary, and usually she'd be wrong, but now she's actually justified because
there was a mass murder last night.
There was a mass murder. Some guy stabbed his wife and kids and then killed himself.
I believe his name was Theodore Liu, according to the New Westchester.
Theodore Liu, and I believe he worked for a Chinese bank too.
That sounds about right. So he stabbed his 4-year-old and 7-year-old.
Jesus Christ!
And then his wife, and then he slit his own throat.
Mm-hmm. So if our show gets low turnout,
did we forget to put in the description? To My Minimum is now a murder podcast because those do way better than comedy.
We're a Pleasantville true crime podcast.
Honestly, though, not a bad pivot for us. We just gotta start calling it To Murder Minimum.
I'll do an investigative report into the Pleasantville murders.
Yeah, there we go. But that's not actually.
And everyone's just like, bring Samantha back on. Well, if you wanted Samantha to be back on the podcast.
That was a terrible transition in so many ways.
Oh,
but
I did my best.
But if you wanted one of our favorite guests, one of our
we don't know what to say about this person.
Here's the thing. I already started with favorite, and I was like, there's no really adjectives higher or lower than favorite.
Yeah, we just totally shat on every other guest we've had so far.
I said one of.
Oh,
that way it's still
favorites.
loose enough that I'll be like,
right. If you're listening to this and you've been on this podcast and you think that we hate you, you might be right.
Better question is why you still listen to this podcast.
This podcast is great, Sean.
It is
great,
good, but if you've already been on it,
Wait, I've already been on it?
I was thinking if they've already been on, why don't you keep listening?
I thought you were saying, you've already been on it 27 times, Peter. Get off the podcast.
Yeah, I've been on it more than you. People forget you weren't on an episode.
That's true. Yeah, Sean is perfect in episodes. Perfect attendance.
I added it up the other day. Yeah. Guess how many podcasts I've done this year? Across all podcasts.
Too many.
All right.
103.
Pretty close. 117.
Damn.
117 podcasts.
So that's Big Barry,
and guesting on Friends shows.
Right. And
James Crowley's Infinite Playlist. I Can Explain That Pod. Going Native.
Going Native.
That's Renee and it hasn't come out yet.
It's a new podcast
I did it 2 months ago.
Gotcha.
And they still haven't put out my episode. So what do I know? Yeah, bunch of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Plus Story Times with Dave, and then Enemy of the Podcast.
Well, anyway, I wanted to introduce our guest.
Yeah, we should introduce our guest.
Ramble on. So we have one of our performers for tonight. We have Samantha Ivey, previous guest, who now has gotten acclimated to the New York City weather. Look at this Florida woman wearing a coat. Wearing a jacket.
It's terrible. My friend sent this to me. I didn't even buy this jacket.
She was just like, you need this.
Yeah, she's like, listen, I grew up in Alaska. Here's a fucking jacket.
Fair.
You idiot.
You idiot. Moving from Florida to New York.
Yeah, it is now cold outside, officially.
It's miserable outside.
Maybe it's cold outside, one might say.
Have you ventured outside New York City that often?
It's been terrible, yes.
Is this the furthest north you've been in New York so far? Or?
Is this past Sleepy Hollow?
Yes.
Then yes.
Is it?
Yes, it is past Sleepy Hollow. Maybe it might be adjacent,
close.
but
might
it's
be parallel, actually.
Yeah, around there.
Sleepy Hollow is closer to the water.
Well, you actually went during October, right?
Yeah.
I saw that on your Instagram. I was like, she came up to Westchester. October, New York is beaual. Like the leaves are all red and
October
orange.
is just white person appreciation month.
It is. It really is, because everyone they all all the white people in Westchester take Instagram photos.
We get to go out. You get to go
apple picking, pumpkin
patching.
It's
putting on blackface for Halloween. All favorite, all favorite white.
Stepping back from the podcast now.
But we also have a second guest.
Sean's not wrong though, which is what he really is.
That's the thing everybody hates about me the most. Is you say outlandish things, but spot the lie in anything I say.
There's always just a college in Alabama where it's just like, these people hosted a blackface party for Halloween, and they were like, we didn't see anything wrong.
Listen, we really love Tina Turner.
Yeah, it's just like, we love rap music so much, so we don't know how to express that.
That's why we always only rap the N-word parts of every rap song.
So you were were here in October,
Yes.
and it's beautiful here in New York. Then come November, just everything falls off.
terrible.
And
Death
like
comes.
the sun never comes up, and like you realize you're just in a Silent Hill game.
like 30 days a night, yeah.
The entire time is so fucking ugly here. So seasonal depression. Welcome back.
Welcome
Won't
back.
be leaving until late
Don't worry.
April.
Once you get to, I'd say early April now. It's nice out. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really like spring here either, or early. I don't like early spring because then the snow starts melting and then it just turns everything into mud. So the
Yeah.
spring here is like very, very muddy. It's
Yeah.
like, eh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Peak New York
That's
months.
great.
May and October, 2 best months of. So
So stuff you have to sacrifice for your comedy dream.
this is
right
2
there.
seasons minimum.
Should have gone to LA.
We also have
yeah.
we do also have a second guest with us, who's been very silent.
Oh,
so
shit,
far.
I didn't
We have
see
a
you
second
there.
guest with us.
Strong and
who's
silent type.
One
Yeah,
of the
that's-
most random guests we've ever had on.
Listen,
but
sometimes you gotta mix it up every now and then.
Yeah.
not a comedian.
not a
He
comedian.
is Theodore Liu, the murderer of Pleasantville. Everybody
Yeah.
give it up for him. No.
That would have been a good bit if he didn't kill himself. Like if he was on the
Yeah,
run.
if he was on the run, it would really.
But it
could
was
be the
just
ghost
like,
of
there's like
Theodore.
ghost of
the ghost of
There you go.
The ghost of his family's in the audience tonight.
Yeah, they're in spirit. They're,
Their last words were "Go see 2 Mike minimum
Mike
at Lucy's
Minimum.
Laugh Lounge, $10. Monty Mason headlining.
Samantha Ivey, one of the funniest performers I've seen.
Brian Morris, he'll smoke
But
weed
our
with
other
me.
guest is a very good friend of mine. Privileged to have him on. He's his name is Michael Ganjehlou, but I refer to him as Ganj as his nickname, which is also a slang term for marijuana.
Smoking
which we're
those
also
massive doobies,
so
dude.
Ganj, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. You know, I don't actually think that when my nickname was coined, anyone who coined it particularly smoked marijuana a lot.
No,
but
we
I just
had
think
no
it was,
idea at all. We
Yeah,
just
yeah, it
called
was just
you-
like
we
it
just
was a
called you
coincidence
Ganj
for all
because it was
intents and
you know,
purposes.
So how long ago were you guys become friends?
Um,
Are we talking? This is like a good boy
feel like-
situation, like 11, where like you're saying things that are really inappropriate, but like you're 11, so you don't know
it's
it.
so funny because we were literally talking about the Good Boys on the car ride here.
Solid film.
we were
I
literally
enjoyed it.
talking about.
Well, my nickname was coined after we became friends because it was more of an issue of mixing me up with other Michaels as the grades progressed.
Yeah, we had like
You know,
5 Michaels in
there
our
are
grade because
too
like
many
our
Michaels.
because our grade was very white because it was Westchester, so we had a bunch of Michaels. So we just
Can't a
used,
Michael be a black guy too, though?
Yeah, but I feel like it's a very white guy name.
No,
Right?
I think it's pretty even. Like Michael,
Actually, you might
There's
be
a lot
right.
of black
there's
Michaels with
literally
Michael
2
Jackson.
famous Michael Jordans, both of whom are black.
That is true.
Jordan
Okay, that
B.
makes
Jordan.
sense.
Michael,
That's
Michael B. Jordan,
And Michael Jackson.
right.
Michael Jackson.
Well-
Right, that was
That's both.
like a
yeah.
bad cultural criticism by me. But anyway, yeah, we just did have a lot of Michaels in our grade, so we used Ganj to differentiate you from all of them. And I guess like 2 years later, we were like, oh yeah, that also means weed.
The first Michael that pops up when you put in Michael is Vic. So
There's so
there you go.
many.
there's a lot of.
Actually, there's more black Michaels I know.
I think
than
there's
white
more black
Michaels.
Michaels than white Michaels.
Even
at
though
this
there's
point.
just, I don't know why there's something about Michael that just screams white though. It's weird.
I think it's just so generic.
It's
like-
yeah, anything
because-
that sounds generic
Because
seems
here's the
white
thing, like
to me.
Michael, you're not going by Michael, like because there's
Yeah.
too many Michaels.
Yeah.
So you're going by Mike, Mikey, little Mike, big Mike, gay Mike, actually gay Mike,
Little Dick Mike, Big
little
Dick
di-
Mike,
yeah,
Curved Dick Mike.
Gans, or you got to go by your last name every time, or Mike
Yeah.
B, Mike C, Mike
Yeah.
D.
Well, Ganj definitely
Snuts.
sounds a lot more unique. Maybe it's because generic names are associated with white people, and then a lot
Yeah.
of non-white people have very unique sounding names.
Well,
so
they have
it's like
unique
the-
sounding names to us. That's
So,
the,
yeah. Not
Yeah.
to each other. Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Because millennials are getting crazy, like naming their kids now.
Yeah, our millennials are not good with the naming.
It's crazy. I mean, like, as a youth soccer referee, like, I'm doing like 9-year-old, 10-year-olds. Like, I'm just starting to because I have to check them in, all the teams, all the players. I'm just starting to see like what the new batch of names are, and some of
Yeah.
them are like, why would you name your child?
Right.
Listen-
Hey, Ron.
yeah.
Aaron, Sunshine Flower Pad.
I have a nephew named Asher.
Yeah.
I think that's a little.
I know an
Little
Asher.
unique.
I grew up with an
Asher.
Asher. Asher's not that bad. It's pretty.
I've never heard it before.
It's a Jewish name.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
A lot of Jews in our area too.
I don't even think she's Jewish. She just went to top 100 baby names
Just
and
went.
said, "That's my boy."
Yeah, how do you pick? Like I thought about this. Like, what do you like? Because you can be boring. Like, all right, I'll name him after my dad or my mom or whatever.
Right.
But like, like you want to like mix it up. Like you have to think of something new, right? Something unique. Can't be like, oh, I'll name him Ted after Ted Bundy or something. You know?
I have a friend.
The only Ted I know.
Peter, yeah, that's the first Ted I can think of.
I have a friend who's Irish, and when he finally had a kid, he was like, "Oh, Killian, it is." I was like, "All right."
Just without any thought,
just Killian.
like, oh, Killian.
As opposed to Gillian.
There's also people who just
think it's a beer or
they
something.
can't decide a name even after that child is born, so they're just nameless for like a month or something.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we're figuring.
Or
it
like
out.
they're super hippies, like we're gonna let the child name itself, and I'm like, it's gonna be. Oh! That's the noises they make.
Just have a lot of kids running around named Spider-Man and Batman.
Yeah.
Batman. My name is Batman.
My name would be Captain Batman Big Dick.
Captain Batman Big Dick. My parents are dead, but I got a big dick.
Goddamn right.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, pretty much.
So the reason why we have Ganj on this podcast is that this is our
live
show.
Live
It's
episode.
our live episode. Not too much interest for people to come out to this, which is fine.
Fair enough.
Which is understandable.
We get it.
But I thank Ganj for coming out. I thank Samantha for coming early.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, the show we've sold pretty well, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so the show, which is all that really matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the most.
We thought we
important
could be
part.
as cool as police off the cuff. Friends of the podcast,
Listen, there's just
police off the cuff.
Somehow, police officers are more popular than two comedians from Westchester. No one's heard of.
Two 20-something comedians from Westchester.
20-somethings.
Who would have thought?
Who would have
thought that people would rather listen to years of experience on the force rather than two people who have very half-baked opinions on life? So anyway, we'll talk to Samantha a little bit because it's been 9 episodes.
It's been
it's been a while.
That's how you
Samantha,
tell time. It's been 9
It's been 9
episodes.
episodes.
I do judge my entire life based off podcast releases at this point.
How old is your kid? About 20 episodes.
Yeah.
He was born on the time we interviewed Dan Soder. That's how I remember his birthday.
Yeah, that's right. Dan Soder episode. That's right.
Dan
Okay.
Soder episode.
Yeah.
Yes, but so Samantha, we talked to you when you were just fresh into New York City. You were just starting to get into the groove of everything. You were starting to get booked, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So when was that? August we interviewed you? I think it was
I don't know.
I think it was early September.
early September. Yeah, actually it was around September. We were at the Auto Shrunken Head,
Yep.
and your girlfriend stayed in the mic room as we interviewed you, which is like the weirdest thing ever. Because we were like,
Yeah, we've
why
been in
would?
some weird podcast
Yeah.
situations. We're like, okay.
Yeah, but you're so enthused to be on the podcast, and we really
Yeah.
appreciated you as a guest. And you were on your way to do something at Gotham.
Gotham Comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, so fill us in what your
Take us
comedy
back.
journey has been since
Throwback.
September.
Awesome. So I think I was only going to watch a show because they were considering putting me on the New Talent Showcase. And so
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And so they ended up, I went there and then like Jerry Seinfeld just showed up, which was awesome. And then they put me on a show at Connolly's Pub. And that went really well. And luckily I had to bring 8 people and I don't know anybody. So luckily I had 2 friends from out of town staying here, and they had friends that wanted to meet up with them. And so my friends, being awesome, were like, hey, if you want to hang out with me, come to this show. So I had 8 people there, but I had like 3 or 4 of them I didn't know.
That's the dream, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
That happens to me at the
so-
comic
Well,
strip
it's like I was
too.
like, exploding, like I don't want to do comedy for people I know. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
like I want to do it for
It
strangers.
is very awkward. It's very awkward when you have friends in the audience and you tell a joke that no one laughs at, because that's your tell that your friends didn't find that funny at all.
Yeah.
They were like,
yeah, or like you're telling embarrassing stories. Like I did a show here last year, and I talked about my eating pussy story, and my mom was in the audience. And I'm like,
Mom did not appreciate
Mom,
it.
no, she laughed hard. It's just like that was
Oh, nice.
awkward,
Yeah.
awkward drive
Aw.
home.
I mean, I think it works in both directions, because if they already know who you are, then they're basing all of your jokes off of that.
Yeah.
So they might
Exactly.
particularly
Right,
laugh hard at something,
yeah.
like even
Right.
a little too hard.
The
But then
context.
something else they might not find funny at all because there's some personal stake in it for them. But you only really know how your jokes are hitting and what you're working with the stranger because they're just neutral anyway. I mean, not neutral. They could have their own opinions or inclinations, but that's interesting because it doesn't necessarily have to do with you. It could be like something interesting, like their politics or their opinions on like culture or something. But if it's just your friend, then that bias is probably going to override any other bias that they have.
I mean, they have the context of their entire friendship to go off of, whereas you're a stranger
or
to other
worse is
people.
you are.
Sorry for talking over you.
It's a lot of fun
Yeah.
when I'm on stage and I see like a shit ton of my friends and Rachel, my girlfriend, in the middle, and then I say a joke, and after I get done saying this joke about her, all of the friends look at her, she laughs, and then they laugh.
Oh, they wait for her to laugh. Wow.
Because they're like, should we laugh at her calling you a bitch? I don't. She just said she's never marrying you on stage. Are you okay with this?
she's talking about how she wants to bury your corpse somewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
I literally have a song where I talk about like if she ever left me, the shit I would do to her. And I think one of them is like so ridiculous. Like one of the lines is, "I'll punch your cat in the face because the stupid bitch can't, because the declawed bitch can't fight back."
declawed.
everybody-
Ouch.
Claude.
Don't do that to your cats.
It wasn't my cat. It was it was her cat, and it was like a roommate's, and they declawed it. But we have the rest of them have claws, so don't judge me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
It actually makes them more aggressive, I heard, if you declaw them.
Oh, yeah.
Because then
No,
they
she
don't
runs
have
the
like
house.
anything to defend themselves with.
yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
'cause
them
I have 4
neurotic,
cats,
yeah.
Yeah, they start picking up knives and
Yeah.
like going,
Yeah.
you know.
One of the cats I have, like, he refuses to get his nails even cut. Like
Yeah.
he only gets his nails cut if he goes to the vet, because the vet like literally like puts them in some sort of chokehold that calms them down.
Yeah, you have to just-
Other than that,
Yeah. I've seen my cats fight my declawed cat, and the sound my declawed cat's like paw makes on the side of my other cat's face, I would not want to fight her. Like she's got a mean left hook.
yeah.
She does.
No, they're aggressive.
Yeah.
Aggressive. Wait, do we all have cats here? I feel like we do.
I have one cat now. Yeah.
Is that a cat like I've known back in the past, or is it a new
No,
cat?
because
Okay.
I grew up with 2 cats, and then the honest story is that my brother came back from college, and the cat that he was really close to had passed away. So then only one of the 2 cats that we had growing up was around. So my mom, there was an orthodontist in town that was giving away kittens, and so my mom like adopted one of these kittens, and then we ended up having her. So like I've never really been attached. I don't have anything against her, but I grew up with the cats I have, and there's kind
Right.
of this new cat. And the problem was like my mom was like, I'm gonna get this cat for your brother because he's depressed, and this will make him feel better. So that seems kind of weird to me. It's like,
Yeah.
because I really respect animal life, and it's like when you just get it as like a token, because people even have kids just to make themselves feel better.
Right.
So to me, like having a pet just for that reason,
Yeah.
kind of, because my brother wasn't really his say. She just kind of got it. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing was a little just funky to me.
Yeah, I know how it feels because none of my 4 cats, I had no say in any of them.
Like I say, I think
Showed up.
floss is getting really expensive. Your orthodontist is giving away cats. Thank you.
Are you not a cat person?
Please come to the show.
No, I love my cats, but
Please come to if you can time travel. Please come to the show.
Yeah. If time travel is available in the future, come back to this show. It's going to be legendary.
Come to our next show, which we'll do in the city.
Yeah, we'll work on that for the future.
Yeah.
We have no future plans at the moment, but we will.
We're young and dumb, baby. We don't have future plans.
And I'm full of cum.
We'll
Because we
do
all know
whatever
I
we
am
want.
now a Volcel.
Yeah, Sean is a Volcel. So do not even try.
Nobody
do not
try
put your
anything
hands
with me.
down in his undercarriage at all. Do not do that. He will not appreciate it.
No, I will not.
that was
at
my
all.
only plans for the night.
Well,
looks
sorry,
like your
Samantha.
plans got
It's
ruined.
like,
Damn it.
That's
It's a long train ride home.
this is a hard lifestyle he's living, and I think everyone here should respect it.
This is just my samurai way. I've decided. Just mics is my weapon.
We had a bit that I wanted to do for the show, but we decided it would be too last minute. I wanted to get like a belt, like just a normal belt, and then like tape like a picture of just like an old lady on it by the crotch area and put it on Sean and be like, this is his chastity belt. So
Oh
if you're
my
looking
God.
if you're looking at his crotch, you think of your grandmother instead.
No.
It's gonna be like it's just like an old lady with a very disappointed face.
It's just like the lady from Titanic.
Yeah, basically.
The one
Yeah.
in the flashback when she's young and beautiful, or the one
No,
in
no.
the present?
No,
No,
when
the-
she's just
And by the way,
like
Decrepit one.
she's more beautiful in the present.
that
in
naked
film than-
woman is me. The only.
And she just tosses a priceless gem in the ocean. Jack,
Oh, that's fucking.
we got to stop talking about
I
Titanic.
that's true. We already had our Titanic episode.
like 20 minutes on Titanic.
It was
2 minutes
it
on
was
comedy.
a lot on Titanic. I forgot how we got into it, but it was
Oh, it was because the improv troupe was doing the Titanic.
Oh yeah, no, they did, which was weird. It was just so weird because like they were doing improv for like people with Alzheimer's, so like really old people.
Oh my God.
I was like, are they only doing like improv of the Titanic because I think this is the only thing they would relate to. Like they'd be like, I remember when I was on that.
I was on the Titanic.
Fuck, we're so off topic. Samantha, how has your journey been since so far?
Good.
I
So
was
I
like,
did.
for the past minute, I was thinking like, what were we talking about? What do we want to talk about? We got to talk. Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know
anyway.
how we got to Titanic
So
again.
I did the show at Connolly's. I did really well. The booker pulled me aside and was like, I'd love to have you on future shows. So he booked me on the New Talent Showcase at Gotham. And I was kind of nervous, but I'd finally calmed myself down. I was about to go up, and the manager comes up to me and he goes, hey, what is it? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Jim Gaffigan. He goes, Jim Gaffigan's here. Do you mind if he goes up before you? It's like, yeah, fucking
Only if he
let's
adopts
do it.
me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? I'd love to follow Jim Gaffigan
Yeah.
the first fucking time I'm performing here. That'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
great. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So he gets up there and does 15 minutes. It's beautiful and amazing. And then they're in such a rush to close out the show. The host just runs up there and was like, we still got more show for you. Okay, Samantha Ivey. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, you have the whole audience that is texting their friends or talking to the people
Jim
next to them.
Gaffigan was just here.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
people next to you saw the show. Like they know Jim Gaffigan was here. You don't have to talk about it right now. And then half of them are getting up to go take a shit. I don't know. And so the first minute of my set was just really rough. But luckily that night I had changed my plans on what I was going to perform, and I brought my guitar with me. And so luckily because I had that, I could really get their attention back.
Yeah.
'Cause for some reason people are like, is that music and comedy? And they just start watching.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
it went well, but I couldn't. I wanted the video, but I couldn't. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna purchase that video. And for the first minute or two, they're talking.
Yeah.
And then I did the audition for the Broadway Comedy Club thing, where you get the residency
Residency,
thing.
yeah. Where you get the
And-
check spot for every
You
show.
see your
Yeah.
dumb face on free mics all the time. That's like.
I know like 4 people have gotten it at this point.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
like,
recognized them
I'm
all the
like, oh
time.
my
I was like,
God.
"Oh, you got
Yeah.
angry at the audience at the open mic once." I remember that.
Yeah.
There's
But
your
I-
smiling face, Broadway Comedy Club. Yeah,
I did get it, which is exciting. So I've done like 4 or 5 shows at Broadway and 1 at Greenwich. And then I'm signed up to do Yaz Fest, which I guess is an LGBT festival. So they were like, "Oh, you're gay and do comedy. Here you go. Try this out." So
do they refer to it as Yas Fest or is it Yas Fest?
I think it's
Yeah.
Yaz, but I'm
you were
not.
just like,
But you don't want to like.
I'm on the
like-
lesbian side of the gay shit.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that. It's Yes Fest.
welcome to Yas Fest.
Yeah.
It's just
Yas
Yaz Fest, all right? I can't throw my hands up, all right? But that show is December 12th. I'm gonna pimp it. I'm sorry.
Ooh, this will be out on that day.
Yeah, I'll be
Sweet.
December
How time
12th.
works? 12th. Today's the 7th. 5 days from now would be.
I think I'll be just on that day.
It will be the day
Okay.
of. So come to that show.
Go see
Today.
Samantha Ivey.
So
Yes.
listen in the morning and then come see it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because that one's I'm super excited for.
Cool.
Super excited.
PCD, thanks for sharing about your show, by the way, Samantha. But PCD, one thing you brought up that I found really interesting was about
I
comics
just realized that you were
being
referring to Peter when you were saying PCD. I thought it was just like a cool hip
Yeah,
blend.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too. I was
so that
like,
was
what?
that was my nickname.
that was my nickname. So now we're even
PCD.
because you called me Ganj, and I'll go
Well,
back
that's
to
just like
calling
what
you
we
Peter.
refer
But
to
it's
you. No, you can refer
it's,
to
it's a
me.
habit, old habits.
I
die
like it
hard,
when people
but
refer to me as PCD because like no one says that anymore. I'm
it's
just
unique.
Like, I
it's
feel
very
young
special.
again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't we all want to feel that way?
Yeah.
Because we're not getting younger.
Yeah. Anyway,
but-
go on.
Anyway, yeah, no, just you, Peter, you're talking about how comics get angry at their audience, and how I feel about it is which comic doesn't get angry at their audience. It's just a question of whether they show it or not, or how often
Right.
they get angry. And I often think that comics can use getting angry at their audience as an advantage to even gain more laughs, but of course it can sometimes work against
Yeah.
them. So it's an interesting
Well,
subject.
legendarily,
Yeah.
Bill Burr told all the Philadelphia to go fuck itself in one of his best sets of all time. They were a shitty Philadelphia crowd.
Yeah.
And Bill Burr just went off on them for 40 minutes,
Jesus.
and then they ate it up.
I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
40 minutes. Did
If
he end up
it's-
having jokes somewhere in that 40 minutes
No,
too?
he was just
40
shitting
minutes
on
of-
Philadelphia for 40 minutes. It's fantastic.
But was it clever? Did he actually say something that was kind of funny about how
Oh, it's funny.
Philadelphia was
It's funny.
not
It's
as
just like,
big?
yeah, you fucking cheesesteak eating fucks. like,
It's
just-
just,
I-
I
I've
think his
listened to-
voice just gives him a pass to say anything he wants.
his way,
speaks with a lot of
his
authority.
anger is inherently funny.
I think if you have an audience member that you're angry with, if you start to realize that the rest of the audience is angry with that audience member, you can go in.
Yeah.
or the kill.
Yeah, because everyone will be on your
everyone-
side.
They're really pissing you off and they're ruining the show for everybody else.
Right.
Because usually if I have a heckler, I try to be nice because I realize that they're coming from the, hey, I'm funny at all my work parties and watch me go kind of thing. So I'm typically nice and I'll engage and then move on. But if somebody is just genuinely being a dipshit and it's pissing off everybody else, I go hard.
Yeah. You can tell
that's-
pretty quickly after you engage them how it's going to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And I find it fun because it's something different.
There's
Yeah.
two types of hecklers. There's the ones who are interrupting because I think they're helping, and then there's the ones who are interrupting because they're assholes.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion, the ones who are interrupting because they think they're helping are worse.
They're harder
Yeah.
to deal with.
They're also
so much
assholes.
harder to deal
Yes,
with.
because
They're assholes and they think they're
Yeah.
righteous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very oblivious. Just like, no, I'm part of this.
Yeah.
They all
Because it's
speak like
harder
that
to
too.
be in that situation
Yeah.
that Samantha was just describing because, the audience might not share the hostility that you feel. And if they
Right.
don't, that's going to put you in
Yeah.
a really sticky spot.
Like I make that mistake with hecklers.
Yeah.
Is I usually go straight to 11 and tell them to kill themselves. like your fucking life is worthless, you piece of shit. And they're like, that was a bit much. And I'm like, that's just where I go to.
Yeah.
That's less likely someone's going to heckle
dies
again.
in a drunk
Yeah.
car
It's not
accident.
just,
I have said that.
it's not just to send them the message. It
actually
sends
said
to everyone
that.
the
Not
message.
some, but I have said I hope you don't die drinking and driving to somebody before.
I think my best heckler story was I was featuring, I had like 30 minutes up on this stage. This woman had spent the entire host set like just screaming and shit. And so I decided to go with the nice approach because she was drunk. Small town. I knew that she was just there to have fun. And so I was like, hey, and like she kept screaming out things like, if I was gay, I'd fuck you. Or I support you. Oh, I'm so happy you're gay. Like,
Sure
shit
you
like-
do.
And so I was like, hey, like you seem really chill, but listen, can you just look around you? People paid for the show. Babe, I'm going to talk to you all after this set because you seem like a really cool person, but if you could just shh. And then she kept like mimicking the shush shush.
Yeah.
And so we were like shh together and I thought I had shut her up. And so I got back into doing my set. 2 minutes later, she screams out and I looked at her and I said, I think I just got done telling you to shut the fuck up. And the entire audience lost their minds as she stood up and like marched out. And then after the show, her husband came up to me and was like, hey, I'm that girl's husband, and shook my hand.
I'm sure you would do
I've seen
that.
happen
I'm
so
sure you
many
would.
times at White Plains now where the husband's just like, I know.
Yeah.
He has a look of like, I know.
There's so
I
many.
know what I live with this every day.
There's so many like 40 and 50-year-old ladies who are out there, and they're like,
Yeah.
I still got it. There's so many
I
of
think
that
that's the worst
type.
audience member.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
the woman in her 40s and 50s who's just
Midlife
like
crisis.
midlife
being
trying
like,
to
oh shit,
recapture
I'm
that
not
glory.
hot anymore.
thinks they
Yeah.
can drink like they're 22 still.
Yes.
But after two
Yeah.
wines, they're like,
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah.
That they brought from home to
Yeah.
the bar.
I feel like men had that midlife crisis too, but like
Men handle the responsibility
But they handle
by
it,
drinking
yeah.
a lot, and then
they just suppress it
and,
so far
yeah,
down.
and cheating
So
on their
it's like-
wives. That's
Yeah.
That's how it's done. I mean, that's true.
that's the normal. That's
literally
that.
what
Or they buy a
happens.
sports car, or they learn how to fish or something. I
They
don't know.
just fuck their secretary, and then they're like,
My dad
"All
went
right."
scuba diving for his midlife crisis. I'm like, he taught himself to scuba dive, and I'm like, I think my dad's gay. It just seemed like code for it, right? Like me and the guys were going to scuba diving. I'm like, I love you no matter what, Dad, but you don't have to lie. Like,
I have a funny story to share. So my step grandfather, who's coming to the show tonight, he's like 80 something now, but he lost his phone, and I don't know how this happened, but for some reason his phone was in his shoe that he wears, and this was only found by his personal trainer at the gym, who is like a very young female personal trainer. And to thank her, he like invited her out to dinner, just the two of them.
that's such an old guy move.
Yeah.
Like we're like, because I'm assuming your step is an alright guy. There's just I think the guy's like, no, this is normal. Like this is a normal way of responding. Like my high school football coach, he used to just be like, he used to just keep like a literal pear next to his testicles all day, and he would just pull it out from his crotch and just eat it. And he's like,
Keeps it warm.
he's like, it's
my body.
Yeah, and I'm like,
It's my body.
all right, that's you do you, Nate. Shout out to him.
It's
Jesus.
like if it's weird to store why isn't it not weird to store an apple in your pocket if it's weird to store it in your underpants? It's just another pocket. It's another place to store.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're a girl,
So you're
you have,
gonna be
and
that
if you're
guy,
a girl,
that's what
you have
you're
another
saying.
pocket to store things.
yeah,
Yeah. Do you think that could fit a pair though? I mean, it could fit a baby, so probably.
Do you think it could fit a bear?
Can you fit a pear?
If it's a baby.
Question of the day.
I
If
mean-
you're on YouTube, comment if you think a pear could fit in a vagina.
Like and subscribe, and can a pear fit in a vagina?
we'll start having questions of the day.
mean,
So
it has
many YouTubers have questions of the day for
It
their
has
audience.
to fit a baby. A baby comes through there, so
See, that's true.
Yeah.
So there's, why don't we leave the audience? Why don't we leave it up to them to figure it out?
yeah.
But anyway, Samantha Ivey,
I'll
continuing
talk to you
on
after
with
the
your.
show.
That's it. Like I know a lot of medical facts I can bring up to this, but I'm like, I'm just thinking.
So anyway, where do we leave off with
knows?
you?
I mean, that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I've been doing improv classes at Upright Citizens Brigade. So.
Okay, so you're doing
UCB.
101.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
How much does that go for?
Oh, $450.
lot.
That's what I
money.
thought. I'm
Yeah.
like,
A
lot of
ugh,
money,
fuck
but
yeah,
it is
but
a
I
good way to
luckily-
it is a good way to network.
Yeah,
because
my
you meet
dad's
some stand-ups too.
super supportive. So I just mentioned taking the class, and he was like, "All right, what day, what teacher?" I was like, "Okay."
Nice. See, I was thinking about taking improv or acting classes next year, and I'm like,
I'd like to take
I
a
just-
sketch class.
I just see
over
I see the
improv.
numbers, and I'm like, yikes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because the pit
Yeah.
offers free classes on Tuesdays, but I'm like, I feel like the free classes are stuff I already know.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
but so I'm like, maybe who knows?
I mean, if you break it down, it's 8 weeks, so that's 8 individual sessions that are 3 hours apiece. So it's kind of close to like $50 a class for 3 hours. I mean, when you break it down, it's not that expensive for the education you're getting,
yeah,
but
that's the way they broke it down to use you buy in.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
yeah.
I mean, it's
but
just-
I mean,
it's-
again,
no,
my
no,
dad
no.
paid for it.
No,
so.
no, I
Yeah, no, it's
feel
just
you.
a lot of money
Yeah.
if you are living in the city.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like you're putting a down payment of
Yeah, no, $450 is not
$450.
cheap. Because rent.
Just rent and stuff.
you could argue that like the more you pay for the improv, the more specialized it is. But it's also theoretically possible you could pay a lot of this money for this class and then find that you actually ended up gaining more out of the free class. Mainly, maybe because the kind
Right.
of person that would be inclined to go to the free class, you're getting everyone. They're not there. It's not this money making institution. They're just all there together, just doing
Yeah.
this improv because they're passionate about it. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one way to look at it. I don't know. I think I know someone just sketch at Pitt. So
Yeah, no, I like the pit.
Yeah.
I go there to drink sometimes.
their basement open mic or attic
Attic
open mic.
open mic. It's
Attic
the
open
best,
mic,
the
which
attic.
is like great. Thankfully I only went to that mic when it was not crowded. If you don't know
Oh.
if you don't know that mic, it's like they literally put it in like this attic
All right,
of a
see
room
that
that's
closet right there? That's
Yeah.
the size of that of the
Oh
mic.
yeah.
it's the size of your it's actually like I would say half the size of your attic if you had like a moderately sized house.
It is a tight,
And so
tight
like
room.
I talked to you about it and you were like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there when there's 20 people and people are just like standing outside on the stair." Well, I'm like,
Yep.
"Oh fuck."
We'll do
that.
that middle of July.
Fuck
Everybody's
that.
sweating. and,
Like I like small and intimate rooms, but that's a little too small, that
Yeah.
room, in my opinion.
Yeah, like it needs to be like Lucy's is the right size for a mic, I think.
Oh yeah.
If we could just put in like a lower ceiling, it'd be
We
great.
could just like crush the ceiling lower.
I just feel like because there's an upstairs balcony, like I just want a bunch of people to dress up in like Renaissance clothing and watch me perform.
That's what it feels like.
That's what
sometimes.
I want.
It's fucking cool. Like if there's a
the handful of times it's been like sold out out
it's-
here. Like it's cool.
It is cool when you have the people on the balcony because
Yeah.
it's like extra layer of people.
Yeah, it
I don't know.
feels-
It's like really cool.
No,
when
it,
you have,
it
like,
makes you feel like you're on a big stage.
when you have like people looking down on you. And
Man.
you're like, yes, entertain me.
I think it's you hear some laughter from above, and you're like, oh, I'm doing
That
this.
Jay's.
what about their perspective though? Because this is it feels so high up from here that you would only be able to see the top of your head.
No, you can see pretty well up there.
Yeah, you can see decently. I mean, it's not gonna be like as nice of a view
I mean,
as
like,
compared
it's-
to if
it's
you were
like-
right
it's
in
a-
front of the
oh,
performer.
I'm fucking tired.
But it's, I mean, so if there's like
Yeah,
a so
I'm
if there's
just
like
tired.
a
I'm
big
pooped.
party. Yeah, so if there's like a big party,
Yeah.
Late night
they'll
last night.
usually be upstairs,
Right.
Because like they'll just want to be hanging out upstairs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like, and they enjoy it. They enjoy,
Yeah,
Lucy's fun place. A lot of independent run
Yeah.
shows, including our shows.
Yeah, a lot
come
of,
out
a lot of
if
private
you're-
parties here too.
Come out if you're in the area.
Yeah, come on out. Come to Mike's,
Yeah.
I guess, or whatever. I don't know.
So
Hey.
here's a question that
Yeah.
I think is interesting for 3 comedians. As
Yes.
audience members
Just
for
let him run
comedy
us the
shows,
podcast.
what is the best place that you want to sit or the least preferred place that you want to sit? Do you like being up front to comedians that you watch, or do you prefer to just kind of be in the sidelines more, just blend
Wait,
in?
sorry, I was browsing.
No, it's fine.
I was
Just where do
browsing.
you
I
like
was
to
browsing
sit?
Reddit for something
No,
I might
where do you
want
like
to
to
bring
sit?
up.
Where do you
But
like to
are you
sit in the
talking
audience?
as a comedian?
As
No,
a comic?
but when you see when you're just attending and you're viewing comics.
Oh, I'm at the point where I don't like just go attend anybody anymore. I like
Yeah.
if I am seeing somebody, I'm just gonna chill in the back and just
Right.
watch from afar.
Yeah.
I know in Orlando at the Improv, if it's not a packed out show, then they
Yeah.
let the comedians that are like in the scene to come in and watch for free.
Yeah.
It's not for the big names, but for showcases and stuff. And so there's a whole back area where all the comedians hang out. And that's a lot of fun, especially when you have a killer on stage.
Yeah.
Because you're watching
Yeah.
and then when the other comedians start to laugh, that's when you really know that that person's killing it. So, and then you also like have those side glances like, fuck her, she's so damn funny, with the other comedians. So it's a lot of fun to sit with comedians, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where it's like this sounds a little douchey, but like I want other comedians to look at me as a peer and not a fan. So
Right.
like if I was just like front row, dead center, or even just like in the audience, I'm like,
Yeah.
I think it adds a different perspective as I get a texty text. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I feel like a lot of comedians are, or most are level-headed enough to kind of view you as a peer, even if they've accomplished more. Which I mean, like a lot of comedians, actually, a lot of older comedians. If I bring up the comic strip, they're just at least like, wow, good for you. Because like back then clubs were a big deal for them, and they're still a
Right.
big deal now, but they're not as big of a deal as they once were. So like, it is always cool when like you get comedians who have accomplished more than you to see you as a peer, and I think most of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I felt because I was at Stand Up New York for their Halloween show, and like a couple bigger names were there, like Corin Fisher and like Francis Ellis, who are not big names, but like they're like 1.5 rungs above us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we're I don't know, it's hard to describe. Like we're in the open mic scene.
I'm a Class A open micer.
Yeah, but but we are we're known in open mics, I guess. So that makes the other comics, but then like you see them and they're known on shows at clubs, but they're not. They're not selling out stadiums or anything there, but they're past a lot of clubs and stuff, and they have enough notoriety that people give a shit about them.
Yeah, and I like comedians who use the term open micer less tend to be the comedians I like more, or just in a pure setting. Like all those comedians who are just like, when some open micer does an open mic thing because he's an open micer, it's like, shut up.
Yeah.
People who complain about
to be
that
fair,
stuff.
I do that sometimes, even though I am an open micer.
I try to
But,
limit
I was
though.
at a mic the other day, and someone was just like, "So this would be more of a therapy session for me," and I'm just like, "Go fucking kill yourself."
Well,
I
it's
just
like-
had that thought.
Yeah.
It's like as you said, like you want people who are above you to view you as a peer. It's like I feel like you can maybe argue that with maybe for all of us, like with people who are below us.
Yeah.
Like maybe they would want to see us as peers too.
Right.
So that's why like I never like, trying to like solidify my place on this arbitrary comedy totem pole that I feel like a lot of comedians do, where they're just like, well, I'm above this person, so I get to fucking talk shit online about this person.
Come on.
on.
It's just so much too much dick measuring or
So much dick
or
measuring in
labia
comedy.
measuring. This is a sex positive podcast.
You never know like how fast somebody's gonna grow either. Like
Oh,
you might
yeah.
see somebody
Oh.
and
Some
they
people
just
skyrocket.
Yeah.
Like-
There's a girl, Annie Pizzella in Daytona, and when she started, I was like, all right, like I see where the writing is, but there wasn't a lot of punchlines, but you could tell that she wrote it out and she memorized it and she practiced it at home, and she was very militant about it. And then in the next like 6 months, I saw her and she was fucking slaying it.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. And then she's like, I look up to you. And I was like, fuck you, bitch. You're growing that damn fast.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the thing is like with people that are below you right now, you don't know where they're going to be in 6 months. I mean, some people just grow stupidly fast.
That's why, like, I don't. So many people are so quick to judge. Like, someone will go on stage for the first time at an open mic and just suck, and all these people at the open mic are like, "What the fuck was that kid's deal?" I'm like, "Well,
I
you
usually
never
say
know."
That. I always say that when I think they're gonna kill somebody.
I'm like, well, that's true. If they're an actual
Yeah.
psychopath, that's justified. But it's just like when someone like bombs for the first 5 open mics, and all of a sudden people in the scene are like, "Well, what is this guy doing?" It's just like, hey, the funniest guy I know now, or one of the funniest guys I know now, was actually so unfunny for the 2 years I knew him.
Yeah.
man, now it's insane how good he is.
Thank you. You were talking about me like that.
Yeah.
Peter.
He didn't get discouraged. He stuck.
Sean
He
Berry.
stuck with it. Yeah. Every
We know each other
comic.
2 years now. No, we're still under.
Like a year and a half.
Whatever it is.
Every comic that's successful, they had to just persevere and not get
Yeah.
discouraged
The only-
because everyone bombed at
Oh, yeah.
first.
So many people with the story, so many top comments of the story of like, yeah, I either I did quit for a little bit or I wanted to quit or like I was going to quit, but then they're
Yeah.
like something.
They were like, wait, I have no other skills.
Yeah,
I have to
then
get
they're
back
like, yeah,
into it.
Yeah, no, that was the story of Bill Burr and Patrice O'Neill after Bill after 7 years was like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. Patrice O'Neill went up to him and was like, dude, you have no other skills, you can't do anything else. That's true.
The only thing that a new comic could say or do to make me immediately lose respect is for them to be like, yeah, I went up last week for the first time and killed it. Like, fuck you. You don't. Nope.
Yeah.
Get out.
I do hate the ones like this is my first time and they do kill because like they're just like they have that energy. It's like yeah, and then
some people. I mean, that's what got me very discouraged from stand up. Like a little over last year was that within the stand up club at my college, like there were so many people who would join the club and just fucking have it, like really know how to like get their rhythm down, like tell like
Some people do
really
just pick
solid
it up.
jokes. And it started to like make me think that like this was a field for people who were destined for it. And I sort of believed that for a long time until I realized like, oh wait, no, comedy's just a muscle that you have to work out.
Yeah.
And you have to be smart. If you're smart about it and you work it out the right,
Yeah.
you
but
could probably get
it's-
to that point.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like in like sports though. Like there are some people who are naturally more inclined to be better, but if they don't, get the right coaching or proper practice, they're gonna just meander.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it is. Like it's talent meets opportunity meets preparation, right?
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's why I have a girlfriend.
I think that
That's
talent,
why I have Peter.
especially in comedy where it's something very fragile is happening because you just have to make people laugh and it's time sensitive. You only have so much time to do it. You might assume a joke is funny as it isn't. So I think because of that, people have realized that people will it'll work to just say, okay, it's all about the talent. But I think actually in comedy, talent can be overemphasized because I think talent implies it's something intrinsic that you're born with. But just like Peter said, that it's something that I never know what to call you anymore. You're both.
Call
You're
me-
PCD,
call me
Peter.
PCD.
I think that because like you said, if you keep, it's a muscle you work out. I think there's a little intrinsic talent that can go a long way.
Yes.
But mostly I think people want to say it's all about the intrinsic talent because it's just another way of discouraging people that because it lets them off the hook because they don't have to practice as much because they're just good at it, right? But then also the people that they look down on, it's like, oh, you don't have a chance.
I also do want to say that, like, one of the funniest guys I know now, he's still back in Binghamton. He told me very candid. I mean, he was a guy who was like right off the gate was like very fucking good.
Yeah.
And he told me, well, there's stuff I can't really say, but like he told me like he used humor at a very early age as a defense mechanism.
Oh, wow.
In like middle school and high school, due to certain, social reasons that he had to defend himself with. So like what I started to realize is that like this was like a skill he developed like way before he even got on stage.
Yeah.
And if you actually look at Michael Che did an interview with Judd Apatow where he talked about how in his family, like their family took a lot of pride in their senses of humor. Like everyone in their family took pride in senses of humor. Like their whole family life was them trying to one up each other.
Right.
So Michael Che spent his entire life like working out this funny muscle, and he didn't get on stage until he was 26.
Wow.
And that's, I would say that I would argue.
And within 3 years, he was on the
that
Daily
I would
Show.
argue is sort of contributed to how he got big really quickly.
Yeah.
That, and also he's probably a good hang. And also I heard someone say on like Reddit that like he has like very powerful family members. But either way, I still think he developed a talent at a very early age. So when it comes to people who are like who go on stage and are really good at it, the reason they are good at it some of the time is that like they had a lot of time to practice.
Not on stage, but in life.
There's a lot of things you can do to practice other than just being funny. You can read a lot. You can
You can watch a lot.
You can just understand what's happening in the world more and really develop opinions on it. And,
it's just finding the right take on something. Like if all right, there was a murder in Pleasantville.
Topical,
But I was like, it's just the topical thing in the news. Is like, where's the humor in that?
Well, I mean,
it's controversial. There's humor right there.
Exactly, but there's comedy somewhere in it. Like,
like
it's
racy.
I
Like,
mean,
the fact matter there was a
the
murder
funny-
in Pleasantville. Like that's
the
inherently
fact
funny.
that it happened the fact that it happened the day before the show.
Day before the show.
I mean,
and
you
their
were
final words
riffing
were,
like
"Come to
before you
Magnum."
started. Yeah, you were riffing before they started the show, being like, "Yeah, News 12 really should have been like, if you want to go to Pleasantville to see an awesome comedy show,
Yeah,
go to Lucy's Laugh
Where's
Lounge."
the free plug?
Yeah,
But no, like I do think that's like the brain. It's just finding like seeing news or story or have something happen to you and being able to be like find the humor in it. Like that's where like a lot of the artistry comes from. Like
Right.
there's funny things that happen to people all the time. Like
Right.
just funny things. But like crafting it to tell it that's where the
Yeah.
art comes in.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting tables at Chili's and I had a lady and I served her salad and my manager said, "Oh my God, who the fuck invited Moses' mother here?" And was like, "Oh, it'd be like she's gonna die at your table." And I was like, "No, she's not. Bitch died at my table." All right, like I fed her last meal and like all my friends were dying and they were like, "You need to put that into stand up." And like it's just one of those things where I can't. Like I've tried multiple times to try to write it, but it's like I'm an asshole if I go up there and talk about it. So some things are so hard to twist.
Yeah.
And I have very much respect for people that can do dark humor and pull it off.
Yeah.
I love
Right.
dark humor.
I love dark humor.
Yeah, it depends on what you're talking about and depends the audience you're working
Yeah,
with.
the crowd.
But I think also anyone that's great at dark humor has to take those risks because if they're not, if they're too afraid to offend people, then nothing's going to come out of their mouth to begin with.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like if you try to please everyone, you please no one.
Yeah.
You know who
Yeah.
said that? Bill Cosby.
Oh,
You know what Bill Cosby
Oh,
also said? I think he said.
Puddin' pop.
Actually, no, but the quote I was thinking was a variation of that. I think it might have been the same
Yeah,
thing.
something like
It might
that.
have been the same thing.
Yeah, I might have been paraphrasing a little bit, but Bill Cosby did have a bunch of quotes
Actually, I
like
think
that.
the quote I read was something like, I don't know what success is, but failure is trying to like please everyone. I'm like, that doesn't age well, Cosby. That doesn't age well at all.
I don't know. It's a little. It does. If it was somebody else
Yeah.
saying it, it would sound.
No,
good.
it's like a true thing. It's
Yeah.
just like it's like a quote you can't attribute to the guy because like his name is a giant asterisk and the context really
right.
invalidates
Well, now
it.
it's even
So
more
like-
fing because he said that now that we know.
Well, like
Yeah, so hot takes
Do you
on
think he's
Bill
trying to please
Cosby.
everybody in prison? No, he's just selectively choosing who he's nice to in prison now.
Did you guys like were you big fans of Bill Cosby before?
No,
this
not
scandal?
really.
No.
I never
Because he's
listened
not
to
really
Bill
our
Cosby.
generation.
He
He's
was-
really
No, he's
like-
not.
it was
Bill
one of those-
Cosby
Yeah.
was the generation of he was for the
Yeah.
generation of comedians who we look up to now.
It was one of those
Right.
things where like I understood why he was so important, but I was like, yeah, because it's like a lot of humor doesn't age well, particularly
Yeah.
because like just of the time and moments.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Murphy, even like his old stand up. Today's standards, he's just a racist and a sexist. But he was still hysterical, and for the
Yeah.
time being, he was like, no, like if anybody calls him that today, then they're the dick, in my opinion. But it's just like timing's everything, you know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the thing I hate
Yeah.
Bill Cosby for the most too, besides the rapes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
what
how
else do
he
you hate
is
Bill
how, is
Cosby
how he
for?
treated.
Yeah.
It's how he treated Eddie Murphy at the time.
Yeah. Well, back in Eddie Murphy's time, it was cool to make fun of racial minorities and women. Now it's cool to make fun of politically correct people.
yeah,
That's true.
That's true. There's a lot of
There's a lot of whiny assholes on stage, and there's a lot of whiny assholes in the audience.
yeah. I mean that's
You
the thing.
know?
There's just a lot of whiny assholes in the world, which is why I don't know. We live in a weird time.
I want to end this episode reading something.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna,
me too.
Yeah.
I want to end this episode reading something I found on Reddit that I think will
By
be
Bill
funny.
Cosby?
By Bill. This was by user /Bill_Cosby.
That'd be funny.
No, this was
I think he's allowed on the
so
internet.
for this episode, what I was planning on doing is I wanted to find like a bunch of like just like I wanted to go on like the worst of Reddit on r/stand-up and just like read it because I thought it'd be entertaining. And this is one I think is good for the context of this show. So the title of this Reddit post is from user /Octagore. And the title is, I did my first open mic last night and I bombed. And here's what he said. I'm still in shambles. My favorite football team lost today too, and I haven't left the house. It's going to take a while to get any confidence in myself again, but I think I'll be all right eventually. And here's what he said on stage.
Okay.
I just went up there and started ripping fat people. I said fat people have it easy in comedy because they don't have to be funny. I said all they have to do is get angry on stage and everybody laughs, like Joey Diaz. I mean,
that's not that wrong about Joey Diaz,
Look
but-
at that guy. Look at that guy. All he's doing is getting angry on stage. If you were one-on-one with him sitting in a car or a small room and he was acting like that, you'd probably be getting scared. So he says, people were booing and I almost cried on stage.
I don't understand why they were booing. That man was killing it.
Yeah, that sounds like a real
I
winner.
mean, honestly, if I
That's
went,
a good way to start your comedy career is making fun of beloved other comedians. Like that's a good way. Don't write any new.
and also just like punch down on fat people with no original
Well, no,
taste.
punch down.
Starting
fat
my
people,
set
but-
tonight with Ellen DeGeneres is a bitch.
The
Yeah.
thing
See
is,
how it
like,
goes.
so many comics get on stage and they're like, I can be edgy too because I have the exact same charisma as my hero Bill Burr, and they go on stage and
yeah.
they're like, so fat people suck, right? And everyone in the audience is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you need to work up to that. That
Yeah.
took 20 years.
You know, I don't think it's the worst thing for a comic to be booed because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. So if somebody's paying attention to you, even if
I
it's
agree.
negative attention, you're working with something.
Yeah, problem is though a lot
But
of
the
people
problem is that like now he's labeled as like the guy who just went on stage and, was
also,
like,
and also
You
the
have to-
guys who thrive
Yeah.
on being hated are usually serial killers.
And you have to think of the,
Yep.
you have to think of the person that now has to follow it too.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
oh
not
yeah,
just
that person's gonna
that
hate you
person-
forever.
Yeah.
like if I had to follow that, I'd have to come on stage and sit down and riff with them for a while to let them know, like, hey, I'm here and I'm listening to you. Let's have a fun time.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I might be able, after a couple of minutes of getting to know them and asking them bullshit questions like, how long have you been married? And blah, 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 blah. And then I could go into my shit
And
because
then you can
now
do,
they're
then you
all
can do your
uncomfortable.
good fat people jokes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, like-
now they're all uncomfortable. They
Yeah.
don't want to be there, and they probably paid money to go see this dipshit.
Yeah.
And that's why they booed.
Right. Yeah, it's likability is a big thing. Like
Well, there's an open mic, so
Like there's
Yeah.
there's a like certain comedians that are likable in their hatred, like Anthony Jeselnik. Like people understand his perspective despite the fact he says horrific things on stage, but like that's just his whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
so many people
So,
misunderstand Bill
in other
Burr
words, like
for the same way.
if you just don't get offended, you'll understand that he's coming from somewhere and that he's exaggerating it on purpose to.
Right.
That's the
'cause
thing.
it's his thing to
That's
do
the thing
that.
too. Like Bill Burr, a lot of people are, oh, he just writes everything on stage. And yeah, that's just how his brain works because you know he's a bad.
Does he
Yeah.
though? I think he's just good at hiding it.
No,
Is he?
he's talked about it
Really?
before. He doesn't write anything. He just he like
What a champ!
Well,
then.
like,
he-
that's just him going.
Or is that what
Yeah.
he says?
He
'Cause I
prepares
feel like
in his
Yeah.
mind.
All right, well,
you
I-
can
yeah, I
prepare
know
in your
s-
mind, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of what he does.
Because I don't write a lot of my
Yeah.
stuff down. It's
Right.
all in my head.
Yeah, like I don't write everything verbatim, but like
Yeah.
I have all my beats written down.
Yeah.
When I want. But yeah, people don't realize that. But people don't realize the way Bill Burr writes. He writes very well, just using his mind, where he comes up with like a thesis of his thing, and then he just punch, and thesis of jokes.
You really take a lot from Bill Burr. I noticed.
I do.
Because
I really-
listened.
I do love
I
him.
listened to a lot of Bill Burr recently, just because I was trying to get back into old specials that I used to listen to. I was like, man, this sounds just like Sean. this reminds me so much of Sean.
yeah,
Well, I do think I have a similar writing style where most
yeah.
of my jokes start with me kind of just blatantly saying the topic, like and we're just burning.
Yeah.
I lost 65 pounds this year. That's how I open with, and then I break down how it happened and where it goes. It's kind of like where my writing comes from. I hope to evolve past it where people synonymous with my voice, but yeah, you steal from your favorites, and that's how you craft your own voice.
Yeah.
Bill
Yeah.
stole
Like,
his.
steal jokes, just
But
steal
no, I'm
the
not,
style.
I'm not
Right.
stealing
And I'm
his
joking,
jokes,
I'm
but
joking.
just
Yeah,
stealing
yeah,
like
yeah.
how.
Bill stole his
Nothing to
from
you, just in general, yeah.
Cosby, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, all those comedians like.
But you could argue
Yeah.
Bill Burr stole from Kinnison,
Yeah.
Right.
or Lenny Bruce, and then
I don't know if Cosby was an influence of him, but everyone who's that age, like they all say, like Cosby was a huge influence.
yeah, Chris Rock, Chappelle, and
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy all say Cosby was an influence for them.
Yeah.
and now generation
Colbert also says it too. I think.
Yeah. Well, stay woke on Colbert, everybody.
Yeah.
No,
just
he
like
seems like a
it's-
nice guy.
Yeah, it's like crazy because like his Cosby's like The Simpsons, where it's just like so much of
He's
comedy
on
has
The
been
Simpsons.
formed. Yeah, I mean, but like so much of comedy today has been formed because of him.
Yeah.
And same thing, it's like same thing with The Simpsons. Like so much of like
he helped
television comedy.
find the form of comedy.
Yeah.
like,
So it's like-
him,
Yeah.
Jerry Lewis.
So it's like and as Dave
Don
Chappelle
Rickles.
said, he's a hero
Yeah.
who rapes.
yeah, that's his thing.
That's how it is.
And I think that's how we should end.
Yeah,
this
I think
very
that's how we
special
should end this.
live episode of.
What a weird episode.
Fucking love this
Fun
podcast.
episode. I had a good time.
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
I bet you did not wake up this morning, pour yourself coffee, make yourself breakfast to think you were going to listen to.
Yeah, all those things I thought. All those things
All
I
of
should have done
this.
this morning because I had a late night last night.
To see the episode title, which is probably going to be titled "Conversations with Samantha Ivey" and Michael Ganjehlou, parentheses non-comedian.
Yep. All right, guys.
So fucked up.
Guys-
I'm not going to title it that, but
Guys, where can people find you?
yeah.
You can find me on Facebook, comedian Samantha Ivey, that's Ivey, or on Instagram, Sam Ivey, Ivey 92.
All right, Ganj.
Ganj, that's why we said guys.
Yeah, where can people find you, Ganj, if they want
You can find me wandering around in the woods.
to? You're not lying.
Just walk
actually.
outside and
You literally
scream
are
for a
not lying.
non-comedian.
Yep.
And who?
All right, everybody. This was another episode of
To Mike Minimum. See, now you got to turn it on too after we did that. finger touch.
Yeah, that's what I always do.